What's going on today, guys? Do I got an epic story about the time whenever I got arrested for sawing into an ATM machine. So this story starts out about a week after I got released from prison for a couple of years for some theft related crimes that we'll get into at a later date. I just wanted to start the channel off by telling this story because I think it's a banger. It's actually great. Okay, so it starts off with I got out of prison. This is about a week later. I was living with my mom and stepdad because I really had no place else to go. I had another place to go, but I was kind of just waiting, 2 weeks, see the family, this and that. All right, so my dad owned a construction company, right? And, he had all kinds of different little jobs here and there, that he would need help on. So, I would go and help him to, make some extra cash and, to help him out because, I just got out of prison. I didn't have a job. I didn't have, I needed money, obviously. So the job was at a bank, actually. We were putting up, I believe, so my dad was a masonry contractor, which is like the guy who like puts up bricks and concrete work and stuff like that, blocks, bricks, any type of stone work in general is what he was kind of into. So he had got, I guess, some type of contract with, I cannot remember what bank it was, but this happened in Florida. Day comes where we have to go do the job at the bank. I had known about this for a couple days. We're gonna go do this job at this bank, whatever, cool. So we get ready. We get all of our tools ready. We load the van up. We get going. We're going to do this job. We're going to make some money. So we're on the way there. We roll up a couple joints, we smoke, we're laughing, we're having a good old time, we're just kicking back, we're really just chilling. And I believe at the time that we had my dad had some I think he had some perks, like some perk 30s too. I don't know if he had a prescription or not. I think he did actually have a prescription, but we had some perkies, we had some weed, some little joints. There's definitely an odor of marijuana in the vehicle. We are definitely in that gray area of the law. Weed was definitely still illegal in Florida, as it's still illegal. It's illegal right now as we speak, still in Florida, unless you're talking about medical purposes. But anyways, let's get back to the story. So we're having a good old time. It's still fairly early in the morning. I want to say it's 9 in the morning, 10 a.m. by the time we got to the bank. Maybe 9 a.m. Let's just go with 9 a.m. Sounds like a good time. All right, so we pull up to the job, just pulling out the tools, unloading the van, setting up everything, just getting the job prepped, getting ready to, get this job done, get out of there so we can get paid, and on to the next job. So we're working, a little bit of time has gone by, it's hot out, it's Florida, it's really humid, we're laughing, we're talking, I'm talking to my dad, just telling him random stories about prison, we're just catching up, I was gone for 2 years, so we're just kind of catching up on lost time as we're, doing this job on this bank. Part of this job required us to basically, we were putting like bricks around the ATM, which was like a drive. If you've ever been to a bank, how they have like some banks have like the drive up thing where you like pull up into the thing and there's like a window and you pull up to the little, I don't even know what it's called, but you put like your banking stuff, your paperwork or whatever in the little slot and you send it and it's like a vacuum or whatever. This wasn't that type of ATM. This was just a drive up ATM. It was just an ATM machine on the back side of the bank where you could just drive up to it. Anybody could drive up and use it without having to talk to like a bank worker. Okay, so I know part of the job required us, we had to start cutting like the old bricks off of the wall so that we could, install the new bricks or whatever we were doing. So we're cutting, we start cutting. I think my dad was doing the cutting and I was kind of just like, well, watching whatever, because he knew what he was doing. I didn't know what to do. So he's cutting, there's a lot of dust everywhere, it's getting pretty, it's starting to bother me a little bit. It's getting in my lungs and stuff, so I'm like, it's taking a step back a little bit, and it's, there's dust everywhere. You can't really see anything. Next thing you know, the dust and smoke starts to dissipate, and then I see I couldn't believe it. It almost didn't even feel real, but all I heard was stop, put your hands where I can see them. And I was like, I just immediately put my hands up and I turned around, and there's two cops with their guns drawn. They're yelling at me, yelling at my dad to get on the ground, drop the tools, get on the ground. So I lay down face first on the ground. I just got out of prison. I'm like, this, whenever you're committing a crime, you know that, like, all right, I'm committing a crime, so I better watch out. We got to keep an eye out, make sure nobody's like watching watching what we're doing, and they're gonna report us. We're not thinking nothing of it. We're not doing a crime. We're just actually doing work, like legal work, like a job that the bank paid us to do. They don't really ask a lot of questions. They immediately just start reading us our Miranda rights and placing us under arrest, and we're handcuffed, sitting on the ground. So, then they ask, what are you guys doing here? We got a report of, somebody breaking into this bank. Okay, which, I'm starting to think about it as he's telling me this, and I'm like, oh, wow, actually, it would look kind of crazy to see two guys just sort of, like, cutting into an ATM in the broad daylight at a bank. So I could just imagine what that call sounded like. All right, so we go on, we're sitting there, handcuffed, telling the cop the story. They're calling up the bank manager, trying to verify stuff, and they're trying to see if our story's straight. No, we're thinking, I'm sitting there, my dad is absolutely freaking out. He's about to have a heart attack, okay? Like, listen, I was, like, kind of not as freaking out because I knew we didn't do anything wrong. Like, we literally weren't committing a crime, and even if we went to jail, like, I knew it would get sorted out. Like, eventually the person would have answered because they weren't able to get a hold of somebody. Finally, they got a hold of somebody, and I guess they didn't know anything about it. So they start going through the vehicle. We're going to jail. We're going to jail for God knows what. Probably robbery of a bank. Who knows what it would have been. But so they're going through the car, and lo and behold, it just reeks of marijuana because, we had been smoking the whole way, all day. We've been high. So not only are we getting arrested for the bank, we're getting arrested for a possession of drugs, which is kind of cool, I guess. But anyways, so it came around, finally they had gotten in contact with the right people, and they had to cut us loose because we weren't robbing the bank, and they didn't really give a fuck about the weed after that, and they kind of just let us go. And it was kind of crazy because it all happened so quick. Like, 1 minute we're working, the next thing we're in handcuffs. And thank God that it went the way it did, because it could have went a lot different. And you know what? I actually did miss a key part. Of course, they had to run our names and stuff like that. And lo and behold, they see that I just got out of prison. So I think that had a big part to do with them actually, like, placing us under arrest. And things playing out the way they did, and it was pretty crazy, man. Like, I always think about that story, and it's just like, it's a story I kind of forget about, and I forget to tell people, and then, like, I think of it one day, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that. That was pretty crazy. Like, it was just it was really wild, to be honest with you. But there's gonna be lots more content like this, even way crazier, more insane stories from my day as a hoodlum. And, we're going to cover everything from drugs, addiction, drugs, crime, just absolute debauchery in my younger years. I'm 38, and I have a lot of stories to tell you guys, and I hope you guys really like this. I hope you go ahead and like the video, comment, subscribe. It would really help. This is my first video, and, I just want to see what would happen. I've never tried to tell a story on YouTube before.